Hey guys, so I'm having an issue finding my tripod, and I am impatient because of the fact that I had this really great idea come into my head and question. So you are on top of it, like boxes and books. So I'm just out on the porch resting my leg because I had like this tennis ball sized bruise on my inner thigh near my knee. And because of the fact that I'm naturally a redhead and I have fair sensitive skin, when I get bruised badly it can be not a good thing. So I'm out on the porch, I'm reading, and the book that I'm reading is one that I've had for a while, and it's, piqued my interest several times, but I just never, picked it up and started reading it until, a few days ago. And I haven't really had time nor to really read it. But it is Craft of the Wise, A Practical Guide to Paganism and Witchcraft by Vicky Bramshaw. Ta-da! So, I'm not really into it. I'm on, page 19, but I am on the section of, what is it? Ritual Magic in Egypt. And it's not really the story behind particular gods and goddesses that intrigued me, but it's the story behind the civilization itself. I am strongly interested in ancient civilizations because of the fact that we live in a modern world, and I like to know how ancient civilizations thrived, and how they functioned. And God, the last time that I even studied ancient Egyptian was back in middle school, because even when I took ancient civilization or world civilization, whatever it was, I think it was world civilization, in my freshman year of high school, where I excelled, as far as I remember, ancient Egyptian wasn't in there. Of course it could have been, but we were going over so many different civilizations that I probably just forgot that we even did it. But thinking about reading these words, I wasn't really thinking about anything in particular. I was just, thinking about the words that I was reading. And then, in the middle of me reading, once I got down to a particular section, it's like, oh my god. It's like, this sounds really fucking familiar. So, I don't highlight my books, and you think that I would have, taken down notes, but I didn't because, well, whatever. But I'm going to read some of the highlighted sections that really stuck out to me. Often the kings were deified, many before their death, and proclaimed as sons of gods. Moving down, we have Egyptian religion was largely polytheistic, worshipping multiple gods side by side. However, during the short reign of the Pharaoh, excuse me if I pronounce his name wrong, Akhenaten, the idea of worshipping just one sole god was introduced, and Egypt was declared a monotheistic society. Aten became the supreme god of Egypt. The worship of gods and goddesses was still permitted, however, until Akhenaten's 9th year in reign, when a new law was passed announcing that Aten, the god, was the only god. It was at this time that the worship of other gods was banned, old temples destroyed, and the names of gods other than Aten scratched out from temples, walls, and tombs. And then we move down, and however, the change was not taken well by the people of Egypt, who felt that abandoning their ancient gods could only lead to chaos. There were rumors of curses from the old gods as death struck Akhenaten's family, and plague, polio, and influenza swept the land during the time of his reign. And then, of course, he ends up dying, and the ancient gods and goddesses were, brought back, and their temples and, the temples were rebuilt in honor of them. Anyway, so reading those sections, and I will type them below so then you can read them and get your own idea, and actually I will type out the whole entire section, of course give credit to the author, because I don't want any, copyrighted lawsuit bullshit, but it struck me, and my mind just lit up with this idea, and I know that, splitting on the Nile in Egypt, or whatever body of water that was, but thinking about the story behind the pharaohs, and behind the civilization of Egypt, and how everything went about within the things that I just read. Obviously Christianity and Catholicism are strongly influenced by paganism, and of course, paganism is influenced by Egypt. But is it possible that Christianity and Catholicism is also strongly influenced by the ancient civilization of Egypt? Because what I just read, and from what I remember from school, it's basically like the same cycle, just going right on over. It's like the endless circle. And, in the story of Jesus, he is the Son of God. And in a sense, he is also deified, because of the fact that, we do bring up his name. But that's kind of like the story of the Pharaoh. They become deified, and they are pronounced sons of gods, whatever god that was. That is like the story of Jesus. He is the Son of God. And then, sorry, I closed the book. And then we have, Egyptian religion was largely polytheistic. Paganism. Up until, this one particular pharaoh came in, and he created his own god, and became, like, the supreme, and one and only. That's kind of like Christianity and Catholicism coming into, the pagan world, and converting them, and building their temples, on sacred sites. It's almost like the same thing, except, it's one person doing it. But he was so high up in ranking that they had no choice but to really listen to him. But the story of him coming in and making one supreme god, and then banning the worship of the ancient gods and goddesses, it's kind of like the story of Christianity and Catholicism and paganism. It's like you have Christianity, Catholicism over here, and then you have paganism, and of course there was a time when the conversion was in progress, that they worked and worshiped side by side. They kind of had that understanding of, we agree to disagree. But then of course, Christianity and Catholicism end up pushing their practices and converting paganism, or pagans, excuse me. And if they didn't convert, they were either put in prison or they were put to death, yada yada yada, fun. Not really, I'm being sarcastic. And then, you know, there were rumors of curses from the old gods as death struck Akhenaten's family and plague polio and influenza swept the land. And of course, you know, the line before that the people of Egypt felt that abandoning their ancient gods could only lead to chaos. It seems as though, with the cycles that keep on apparently happening, is that when you tip the scale of balance, either way, it leads to chaos. Yes, of course, there's going to be illness and death no matter what. But it's like, once you tip that scale, it like blows up in your face. And then it's horrific. It's tragedy. But just thinking about this, reading the words, and then all of a sudden my brain lit up, and it's like, oh my god. It's like the cycle. It's just continuing. It's like, Egyptian, even though it's one civilization, and then you have the religion of Christianity and Catholicism, and then you have paganism. It's like, what? It's like, oh my god, it sounds so similar. And so my question is it possible that Christianity and Catholicism could have possibly been influenced not by the worship, but by the ancient civilization of Egypt? Or could the cycle be continuing? Could it have started over, and without even really realizing it, could we have recycled that, in a sense? I can't really think right now, but it sounds so similar. And then we are reverting back to bringing our ancient gods and goddesses back into this world. Hell, we've been working on it for years now, but we've gotten to a point where, in most cases, not all, maybe not even half, we are able now to worship side by side. So it's kind of reverting back to that. Not saying that, you know, we're going to revert so far back to the point where it's only going to be goddess worship and, you know, worship of the ancient gods and goddesses yet again, but we are reverting back and remembering that respect of each other. And of course, there's not always going to be peace. There has to be balance. But that section, again, I will type it out below. It struck me, and my brain just lit up, and it's like, I completely forgot about this. It's like, holy shit, it sounds so fucking familiar, because when you're reading textbooks in school, they mention the civilization, they don't mention gods and goddesses. I mean, yes, you can see the pictures of paintings inside the textbooks, but that's in order to learn about hieroglyphics and how they wrote. But it's all fucking familiar. They relate to each other. The stories relate to each other. So yeah, that's that. My brain is going blank now because of the fact that I've emptied it out. And so I will upload this and go back to the porch and continue to read. And continue in order to rest up my knee, which is kind of sore right now. So, thank you for watching yet again. Passionate, kind of, it wasn't really a rant, but thank you for watching. If you have any ideas, opinions, whatever, please be respectful, but don't be afraid not to share them. But again, be respectful, please. I'm not trying to bash any particular religion. That is not the purpose of this video. It was just, oh my god, they're related. That was the primary thing. Yes, I know Egypt and the Bible, but my point is that ancient civilization possibly influencing the way that they went about it, influencing Christianity and Catholicism. That was my point. That is the highlighted section of this video. And I am, wow. I'm gonna hide now. Thank you for watching. Love and blessings. Any opinions, be respectful, and don't be afraid to comment.